If Patrick Stewart comes on screen and tells me to buy toothpaste, I will buy that toothpaste. I believe him.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, presented by CinemaSins.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, a weekly look at everything going on inside the world of CinemaSins. I'm Aaron Dicer, and this week I'm joined by fellow Bafflegabbers Jonathan Watkins.
Hello, hello.
And Ian Whittington.
Ian couldn't make it this week, so Ringo's here.
We write for CinemaSins and TV Sins and do various other things inside the CinemaSins universe as well. Oh, hey, Ringo. It's nice to have you on the show.
It's nice to be here. Thank you very much.
You sound more like Yogi Bear than you do like Ringo from the Beatles.
I'm going to get a new picnic basket.
There you go. There you go. As always, we've got plenty to get to talk about the Sin content from the week. So let's get into it with the SinSide Scoop.
What's he building in there?
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
This is a true story.
We're going to take a look at the videos from the week, the process of sinning them, how we felt about the stuff we are sinning in general. Kicking it off in commercial sins with Crypto.com, the Matt Damon commercial, Fortune Favors the Brave. Chris Atkinson writing this one. Before we get into it, any
no,
of you,
I don't know what crypto is.
Okay, so you don't own any. Jonathan, have you ever bought any crypto?
No.
So I'm the only one that owns crypto.
Do
the
you?
three of us.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
I bought some Bitcoin, Ethereum, and there's a third one that I've heard good things about. Just a little bit with some like spare change I had like right before the latest like huge spike. So I put like, $50 in, and now there's like $1,000 in that account. Like if I were to take it out right now. So like I got in just like right at the right time. But since then it just kind of, it just kind of
goes up and down a little bit.
Goes up and
but it's
down.
always going to be more than $50.
Well, maybe
for now. Yeah.
What I don't understand though, is the thing, but isn't there like a environmental issue though that people talk about, something about
yes.
So this
mining,
isn't like fictional currency that's just in the cloud.
I mean, it kind of is.
But they mine it, right? Like,
correct. They digitally mine it. So basically, it's a series. It's called blockchain. I'm never going to explain it in a way that makes sense to anyone, incling myself, because I don't fully understand it.
It's a nice way of saying Jonathan's dumb, which is fair.
No. It's a way of saying it's way too complicated for any of us.
I'm sure.
But the blockchain basically creates unique codes that are for this currency. So when you have a Bitcoin, it is a unique Bitcoin that is, specifically cannot be copied or transferred or whatever without your permission. So like it has like authenticity to it.
We are back in the NFT conversation. I thought I could copy and paste your NFT description and just put it into there.
But that is 100% just, that is not tangible, right? Like,
well, the
correct.
NFT feels more tangible to me because that actually has a product associated to it.
I see what you're saying.
You can look at it.
Yeah, you can look at it.
Yeah, that's true. Anyhow, Crypto.com, what did you guys think of this? Ian, why don't you kick us off? What are some of your thoughts?
I hate celebrity endorsements. This is just going to be a mini rant about why does Matt Damon, who is a fantastic actor, why does his endorsement, why do I trust him to buy this currency? Why is his endorsement now going to sway me towards buying crypto? Because he's not an expert in it. I absolutely know that he's been paid probably in cryptocurrency to advertise for this. So the whole
I didn't even think about that. He probably was.
The whole idea behind it is just flawed to me. It's like, it doesn't work. It's like, I like this actor. I will buy the thing that he is selling me.
That's amazing.
It just...
He signed a contract. It's like, here's $2 million fake dollars.
He just signed it and didn't realize what he was getting paid. He was like, this is some shit.
I think you are underestimating the power of celebrity endorsement. Maybe just for you, but like it does work on a lot of people.
No. I'm not saying it doesn't work.
Oh, okay.
But it's dumb to me. I completely understand that it works.
And when it does work on us, we probably don't even realize it.
That's what I'm saying. It's very subliminal. Yeah.
It's like if Patrick Stewart comes on screen and tells me to buy toothpaste, I will buy that toothpaste. I believe him. It absolutely works. I hate the logic of it. I hate that it does work.
Yeah.
Well, man, wouldn't it be great if he was paid in an NFT of this advert?
That'd
this
be
commercial.
awesome.
That's what he get. He gets the NFT of the commercial.
Yes, of the commercial.
Next time he's on the
That'd be
show,
amazing.
we'll ask him.
Oh, we probably owe him some money if that's the case. But no, the sins were great. It's a really elaborate advert, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I loved. Are we saying, oh, you didn't find a valuable landmass after 13 expeditions? You, sir, are a cock. Buy crypto.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. Love a little T's and C's at the end of that.
The ad is really strange, right? Like, it's just a walk through this crazy, high-tech, futuristic museum that is apparently in space for reasons. But yeah, I really like this too. I love this narrator getting angry about stuff. It has become one of my favorite things. He has 2 lines that I really dug in this. One is, "I'm prepared for you, Green Giant," when he's talking about the frozen food section. And then when he's upset that they're in a rave, and he ends it with, "My teeth are grinding like crazy, Dion." Just blaming Dion for not having his mouth guard. I loved it. It was really fun. This was a fun one. What about you, Jonathan?
I did have that about I had specifically the part about how did we suddenly enter a rave. I thought that was a great. But no, I mean, it was a really funny video. The commercial made 0 sense to me. I would forget that this was about cryptocurrency probably pretty quickly because, I mean, I don't know. It's so bizarre. But, that's how a lot of commercials are. The only other one I had that wasn't mentioned is about the whole history is filled with almost. That's what Damon starts off with. And then the sin is, like, for instance, downsizing was almost a good movie. But in the end, it was just another Suburbicon. I thought that was great.
It's a great 1-2 punch.
2 movies I've never seen because Aaron and Chris both said these are not good. And I was like, I think I believe you.
Yeah, I don't even know if I would say downsizing is almost good. It's pretty bad.
It sounds like it was a huge miss. Not the hugest Payne fan anyways. Like, I mean, I like some of his stuff, but like, I'm surprised it was that bad. But
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
All right, let's move into TV Sins. Hawkeye Echoes is a Hughes Watkins script, so that would be Jonathan and Danae writing on that one. So, Jonathan, you get to kick us off. What did you think about episode 3?
I think this is where the show really kicked into gear for me because I think there's a lot of good stuff with Steinfeld. I mean, Steinfeld and Renner were good together in the second episode, but I think things start really landing in this one. Like, you really see how fun they are together and they can play off each other so well. You actually kind of start understanding how she's going to fit into all of this and how she can hold her. I guess we saw that she can hold her own in the second episode too, but I just thought all that was interesting. I personally love the part, even though we did send it, but I love the part where she gives the goon relationship advice. And he's like, I'm going to go get some paper.
She's so confident with them. I love it.
I know, it totally works just because I think it's her doing it. I mean, I don't know if all actors could pull that off. I did want to mention, so this is also the true introduction of Echo. We saw her at the very last second of the last episode, but this is a true and then, and I hate that I can't. So she is in real life. This actress is deaf, right?
Yeah, deaf, amputee. And I believe Native American, indigenous.
That sounds right. But regardless, like, there's obviously a lot of, I mean, it's awesome that she got cast in this role, and we wanted to definitely mention that. Danae wanted to take off 100 cents, and I didn't get a lot of pushback from her on this, because my thing was like, I don't mind taking 100 cents off for this. But then we're either going to have to give something else 100 cents,
right?
Or because we're not having negative sins. I mean, the sins don't mean anything, but like, if we're going to, I mean, we've never had
the sins don't mean anything until they do. That's like that's that is the sign on the doorpost.
Because if we have a video with negative sins, all we're going to hear is you gave the third episode of Hawkeye with negative sins, but Silence of the Lambs has 90 or whatever.
The Mask gets all of the sins. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I thought that was but she was like, yeah, no, that makes sense. I threw in, I didn't really think many people would even notice, but I did love I wrote the sin about the removing the sin for the way they filmed the car chase. Because I love that when they film like inside the car. And I don't even know if this is the first time, but the first time I remember this, there's a 1950 film called Gun Crazy. And that's like probably the most famous instance of them using it. And so I made that comment in there, kind of just saving my own ass from like that one person that would have been like, that was in Gun Crazy.
Crazy did it first.
Yeah.
You mean Extraction wasn't your go-to example?
No, it wasn't Extraction. But if I got, 5 or 6 people to watch Gun Crazy, I'm very happy because that is a great movie. John Dahl's in that from Rope.
Yeah.
My favorite, I don't know why it was so silly, but I loved the drawing a dragon with boobs son that Danae put in there. And then she took that sin, we actually send Marvel for doing their job so well, which I thought was really fun.
Yeah, that's always fun. It's good stuff.
But anyways, it was a lot of fun to write on, and I really liked this episode, so yeah.
I do too. I'll go next. I think this is where Hawkeye really started to work for me. It was episode 3, and I do think it's Haley Steinfeld. Taking nothing away from Renner. I think he's fine in the character, and I actually like the way this show is able to see him as a human being, as opposed to just this, dud of an Avenger who has no powers and can just, shoot accurately.
Both can be true.
Both things can be true. This show does such a good job focusing on that, but I think Haley Steinfeld makes it. I think she is absolutely wonderful in that role. She has, like you said, this confidence and energy. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the first name correctly, but the actress who plays Echo is Aliqua Cox, I believe, and indeed is a Native American amputee and deaf. And really to be able to have that much representation in a character, I think
that was the word I was looking for. I couldn't think of representation. I hate that when you can't think of one word.
Absolutely, yeah, the one word that represents what you're thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what is that?
Exactly.
What is that
Exactly.
word?
What is that? I probably did think. What is it that represents this?
But yeah, just to include that kind of representation in the show, and that I'm not sure about this because I haven't read the comics, but I think that character in the comics is also at least some of those things or many of those things. And so
believe in my research that is true. I did not, like I said, I haven't read Hawkeye's like solo stories before, so I wasn't familiar with her.
So how cool is that? And, I think it just proves in many ways that there's always someone out there that can do the job, that can fill the specific role and, can do what it takes. So yeah, I really love that part of it too. Some of the other sins that I enjoyed was the line of conveniences that were called out. This convenient, well-placed trampoline, followed by this convenient, well-placed quiver of arrows, near the convenient bow, followed by a convenient pit of convenient balls, and I'm done. It was great. And then this is one of my favorite types of sin where we completely misconstrue something somebody said. The line in the show was, "My dad was fearless," and the sin is just, who would name their child Fearless? So this has secondary meaning to me because our second son's nickname is Fearless. We used to call him Fearless all the time growing up. We would walk in their room and he'd just be standing on the dresser. And so we just nicknamed him Fearless. And then I had to mention the disrespecting Charles Barkley's wishes to not be a role model by making him your role model for not wanting to be a role model. Some nice meta play there. Ian, what about you?
Yeah, love this episode a lot. Like I said, I really like the series a lot, and Maya's a treat. And overall with her arc, I really like where she goes because she's probably got the most complex yet understandable backstory. Like, I get her motivations throughout the series completely, and I really hope we see her again. I hope she comes back in some form. But yeah, it kind of found its groove, and I like how silly it is. I think the level of difficulty on this one was probably lower because they knew what the tone was going to be. They know it's going to be a bit silly, that the arrows are going to be a bit comical and a bit ridiculous, and you have to lean into how human Hawkeye is, or you're just going to get more shit from snotty YouTubers that don't think he belongs.
Just because we always seem to do coincidence things. Those arrows, by the way, would have fit in the movie The Mask.
They're
very Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
Some of those arrows are very Looney Tunes-esque.
And it's so annoying, the ignorance of the arrows. Like, Kate doesn't know what arrow she's firing. She can't. And the commitment to this will work is just undoubtable. It's just, this arrow will do exactly what I need it to do. And it does, because the plot knows she needs it to do something. But in terms of the other sins, if the goal was to knock Kazi to the ground, boot him in the poot instead of swinging around the thingy. I like that. And just in the outtakes, was that a Star Fox Cowboy Lone Runner thingy outtake?
That might have been one of Danae's. What was it?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a what's the cowboy YouTube thing where he's like, he's doing the drawing, he's doing the doodle. Aaron, you look at me like an alien every time. No, Lone Star, the YouTube video thing. Help me out.
The cowboy, the one that's like in the clouds.
You just said so many things that are wrong. It's insane how much little you know, but no one would be able to know you're talking about Homestar Runner. Like
Homestar Runner, thank you.
It is the cowboy alien in the clouds. Like
yes, the Lone Star Runner.
No.
Anyway, I'm sure there's an outtake that I understood that reference but could not articulate it. I enjoyed it. Something
strong
about
bad.
a
Yeah,
doodle.
there's a strong bad reference in there.
That
Trogdor.
too.
Yeah.
Trogdor, thank you. Right. Mm-hmm. Looking at a Squid Game.
That's amazing.
I could have easily researched that before coming into the show.
No,
but did
yes,
not.
no, yeah, absolutely. All right, are we ready to move on to Squid Game? We can do that. We'll do that. A Fair World is the episode we're on. This was a Cardoso-Watkins script. Jonathan and Daniel writing on this one. So, Jonathan, how you feeling about Squid Game? Have you finished it yet, or are you just kind of watching it as we do it?
I've been watching it as we've been doing them. So I'm up to I guess I'm through episode. Well, I'm definitely through episode 6. But this was 5, right? Or was this 6?
Correct. This is 5. Yeah.
I'm so confused. In fact, when you put my name on the email, I wasn't sure if you got that right until I started watching the video, and I'm like, no, I didn't.
I read this.
Yeah.
I know I didn't really care much for the last one because I had a really hard time with the tug of war thing with the people. Just I don't know. There was something about that was not setting with me well, so it was a little too much. But I thought this kind of got it back on an interesting track. You start learning a little bit more about the stuff with the organ harvesting, and it's interesting to find out that that's not something everybody knows about. That's actually, but then that also is even more ridiculous because it's how are they getting away with this? And and then I even had some stuff in there at one point that I took out because I thought we had covered it enough. But it's are they just not sleeping? I mean, when are they doing this? And
Yeah.
just none of it makes a whole lot of sense when you start thinking about it. But it was still kind of a cool twist. And I thought it was odd too that this episode kind of got me back on board again, but there wasn't actually a Squid Game in it, which we sent. I'm glad that I Don't Like Remembering the Mist worked. I wasn't sure if that was going to work or not, but that worked pretty well.
Yeah, it did.
The editors did a really good job with that. I like that we send characters for not murdering their opponents as they were walking past each other on the bridge.
On the balcony,
Yep.
Gave us send. Why wouldn't you push somebody off, jackasses? What's wrong with you? And then I don't know, there was just stuff like that. I like that the undercover cop finally kind of gets figured out, because the fact that he hasn't been figured out yet is insane to me. As much security as this place has, and as many things as he would have had to have been doing wrong, because he had no idea what he was supposed to do the whole time.
He has the daily routine down, doesn't he, somehow?
I guess he does. Yeah, he has to, because it's just crazy.
It has been a running theme throughout most of these videos, how lax the security actually is for this whole thing, which fine if it's consistent, which it seems to be consistently very bad security. But then how has nobody found out about it? You can't have both things. You can't have both secrecy and terrible security. And this tries to have both. Yeah,
I know. And there's clearly cameras everywhere. And I mean, it's just, it's not consistent.
Yeah, but you can double tap delete anything you want on any camera, depending on what you need it to delete.
Just hit the triangle button twice, and it will intuitively know
up, down, left, right, up, down, left, right, circle, circle, triangle.
Not that I wasn't gonna. I mean, obviously, if we keep doing them, I was gonna watch them. But this one definitely got me more interested to see what comes. But no, I've just been kind of, because I'm gonna have to watch them either to write or review or talk about on here. So I've just been kind of saving them. And doing it that way. So,
Ian, what about you?
I almost forget about the cop B-plot side story thing until it comes up again.
Very easy to forget.
It's so forgetful, and I don't want to spoil anything, but it's so forgetful. And it's just
forgettable, right? Not
forgetful.
Forgettable.
I mean, it could be both. I can't confirm that he is forgetful, though. I can confirm it's forgettable. Or maybe I'm just forgetful. But I'm baffled that this one, I'm amazed how much they got away with still getting so much kind of goodwill and support, and how little Squid Gaming there was. It's like having a Saw movie with no Saw Games in it. You'd think it would get more shit, but it's still entertaining.
That's the thing. It's a testament to the character work. It's a testament to the thematic work as well. You know, like there's a lot of themes that are playing through here that are connecting to people, especially with poverty and fairness and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think it's a testament to the show that it doesn't always have to Squid Game.
Totally agree. I think that's it proves that it's not just using the quirk and the hook to sell itself. It's a good show regardless. You could stick it anywhere. But yeah, I really liked that episode. In terms of the sins, the mask scanning still continues. I remember there was a little bit of a debate when we sinned the first episode, because I don't think we'd seen most of it, or we hadn't. I can't remember, but there was a bit of debate around whether we should sin it or not. I'm so glad we did, because it gets more ridiculous as the stuff goes on. Like, what are you scanning? Because it by definition doesn't prove anything, because the thing you're scanning is the wrong person. So it's not. Yeah, it's just beyond dumb. I love the narrator's headphone struggle.
Me too.
The different levels of defense was incredible, because that will happen to everyone at some point, and
the
it's
dongle failed me. I'm a good person.
I promise. But it's such an innocent thing. But even if it's a commercial that you're listening to that happens to have screaming or moaning, you've got a choice. You can just write it off and leave, or you can go table to table and say, look, this is what I was watching. I'm so sorry. I'm not a pervert. But you just have to live with that.
When we were doing Game of Thrones, for instance, we were doing a run on Game of Thrones, and I had never seen the series, so I understood what was going on. I was watching it, like, as you know, I was watching the episodes we weren't even doing. And I remember, like, my the housekeeper would be over here working, cleaning, and I'd be watching, like, Game of Thrones, and every time she was close to my room, it was always a sex scene or something really disgusting being talked about, or it was like,
incest.
so I started using earbuds pretty quickly.
But you're right. It's like when you move your chair and it makes a fart noise.
Yeah.
And it's like you can try to explain it away, and everybody's like, sure. Yeah, that was your chair. Yeah. Yeah. Got it.
The more defensive you are, the more it confirms that it was the thing you don't want it to be.
Right.
The one kidney fake out is unreal. Like, what are the odds that this is someone else that doesn't have a kidney?
We have a super dark comment about that, by the way, which I will talk about in comments.
It's in my comments as well, but I'll let you have that one.
Or maybe I have a few. You can have it.
I get the logic, but of what the commenter is saying, but yeah, it's dumb. And the guy that's romancing the necromancer.
Oh man. Why is that a thing? Like,
that's a weird way to go.
I don't know how many shows and movies go there. I really don't. But every time it comes up, I'm just like, why? I guess it's because you have to make this person more deplorable than, like, the other
everyone else
deplorable
around
people.
them.
And so I guess, like, sex with a corpse is a way to do it. Because it's like, how I maybe it's more common than I want to know. But, like, I just find it hard to believe that, like, I don't know. Like,
there is a philosophical conversation we could have about necrophilia that would be no good for anyone. But it is interesting the way we associate dead bodies, give them different value than, let's say a pie. An apple pie from American Pie or whatever. It's still technically an inanimate. So, like, so I get it. Listen, not defending necrophilia here.
Because the problem is, who's going to have that side of the argument?
That was my chair that made that noise. That's all I'm saying. But
it was there's a dongle.
But I like that. Like, I wrote a couple things. I think I went with all of Daniel's stuff because we have 3 or 4 sins about it. And at first, I almost took 1 out or maybe even 2 out. And I was like, you know what? No, this needs to be sin. So we're just gonna lay into it. And then I love the narrator at the end is like, I mean, I kind of do, but I don't. But I kind of do.
Yeah. That was my last one. I kind of want to know, but no, I don't. No, you don't. You really don't. That's all from me.
And I don't know how to explain this, but that's something like I would write for Aaron, but probably would not write for Jeremy or Chris. And I don't know how to explain that, but Aaron does that. Whatever that is, that like hesitancy, he reads that very well.
Oh, thanks.
And I'm not saying Jeremy or Chris couldn't do it. I'm just saying the way they talk and stuff, I would probably word it a little differently or something.
Yeah, no, it is interesting to see the little nuances developing between like how you write for different narrator characters. Yeah, I think that's normal, natural. We knew that would happen. We talked about that when we started, that the new narrators would be very similar in tone and in kind of, so that the writing didn't have to change a ton, but that they would develop over time kind of probably their own unique voice and different things like that. So yeah, that's fun stuff. I will say I was kind of, this is where I was getting bored with the season. And this episode is probably one of my least favorite. There's not a lot that happens in it for me. They completely bring me back next episode, which, not to get ahead of ourselves, I think next episode is almost a work of art with many of the things that they're doing. I agree. But here I was kind of losing interest, and then episode 6 kind of pulled me back in. And then episode 7, I was like, oh, that's terrible. And then episode 8, I was like, okay, we're back. So I was on a roller coaster.
There was this old SNL sketch on the news when Kevin Nealon was doing the news, and he was doing porn reviews. And there was this one movie called Into Jeff, and he kept saying, for a little while I was into Jeff. Then I kind of got out of Jeff. But then they brought me back into Jeff.
Yes, that's exactly what it's like. As far as specific sins that I really enjoyed, the breathing excitement sin made me laugh quite a bit. We're all sinners, but we're still here, aren't we? Was the line in the show, and then just saying the opening dialogue of every TV Sin staff meeting somehow makes its way into the episode.
Yeah.
Yes, very, very true. All right, let's move into CinemaSins. We'll start with The Mask, the Jim Carrey movie. Daniel Cardoso and Jeremy Scott writing on this one. Cardoso Scott.
And here's Daniel. No, sorry.
What do we think? I guess I can start off with this one. The Mask, for me, is one of those early Jim Carrey movies where I was like, oh, is this going to be all he does? Because we weren't quite to Liar Liar, where he's able to do a little more acting. We certainly weren't to Truman Show or those kind of things yet. And we had just experienced basically Ace Ventura, right? When The Mask came out.
Yeah, this was 94. It was Ace Ventura. This is when he hit it, but he became a star. Ace Ventura was in the spring. This was late summer. And then Dumb and Dumber was towards the end of the year.
And even with Dumb and Dumber, which I love, of those three, it actually might be my favorite of the early Jim Carrey stuff, because I think Jeff Daniels is kind of amazing in it as well. But yeah, this was the one that I didn't really connect to, other than I thought Cameron Diaz was gorgeous, like, many humans my age who watch this movie.
That's true, but because that's like, I always say that this introduction of her character is one of my all-time favorite introductions of an actor, and I feel like that comes off pervy because of how she's introduced. But it's not. But it's really not that. It's just, I don't know how to explain it. Like, the same thing happened with like Alan Rickman in Die Hard, or like Margot Robbie. It's just like instantly a movie star. Like, that doesn't happen that often, right?
Yes,
first role, just comes on the screen, all guns blazing. It's just crazy.
Yeah, totally. That's exactly. I mean, just the charisma. It's incredible stuff. The movie's funny. It's just so much physical comedy, and honestly, it's so cartoony that it almost undercuts itself in some ways. I still like it. It's just not one of his that I love. I wanted to mention the sin for efficiency. One sin for efficiency. I don't know why. That made me laugh quite a bit. Milo needs to pee, but sure, pick him up and squeeze him. Laughed a lot at that one too. The narrator just getting so dismayed that he had both sage and allspice in his spice rack is just crazy. Beautiful. This guy has sage and allspice, and then he just laughs.
He's not got his life together, but he has his kitchen together.
Matrix Eat Your Heart Out was one of my favorite lines. There's the scene where he's like pulling up his legs so the bullet goes underneath, and it just says Matrix Eat Your Heart Out. Loved that. And then of course the removal for the Surf Ninjas poster. There's just some randomness in there that's really, really fun. What about you, Jonathan? What are some of your thoughts?
So when I saw this in 90, because I saw this in the theater in 94, and I had seen Ace Ventura, and I didn't really like Ace Ventura, but I liked Carrey. I had liked Carrey before that. I mean, he's in some late 80s movies too, even like where he wasn't the star, but like I knew him for that. And then of course I watched In Living Color.
Yeah.
And he was so funny on that. And I'd seen him do stand up and stuff like that. So I knew who he was, and I really thought, I mean, I could see that he was going to be an interesting, movie star. And Ace Ventura was so big, it ended up making, it was a big surprise. I don't know if it made a ton of money, but it made a lot of money. And And then so I was excited for this because this was based on a comic book. We didn't get a lot of comic book movies back in the 90s. I had never read this comic book. I still haven't. My understanding is that the comic is much darker humor and much almost more like a horror comedy kind of thing. That's what I've always understood. And then the movie obviously tones that down quite a bit. I love Cameron Diaz in this. I love Milo. That dog was also, I think it was a year after this was in this, or maybe a year before, I can't remember. He was in this movie with Dana Carvey called Clean Slate. It might have even been the same summer. He's really funny in that too. That movie's terrible, but he's really funny. I just like this dog. This dog is awesome. And there's that scene where my favorite bit, and I think I mentioned this on a Boney pod because we were talking about, like, I don't know, or somewhere I answered a question about something, and I don't remember when this came up, but the scene where he's in jail and he asks the dog to get the keys and he picks up the cheese instead, and then Jim Carrey just goes, not the cheese, the keys. And it's just like this really
so good,
great, like, it reminds me of like The Thin Man. Like if you put that scene with William Powell and Asta, like it's totally this, like it works, right? I mean, yeah. And that's where I see like Carrey's got this just like really interesting, I don't know if it's charisma. I don't know what it is, but like I could tell like he's awesome. But like, and I think I kind of talked myself into liking this movie at the time because I didn't like Ace Ventura. I didn't like Dumb and Dumber. And so I kind of felt like, well, I got to like one of these. But after he's done other stuff that I've liked, like Liar Liar. Liar Liar might be the first movie of his I really, truly liked. And Truman Show and Man on the Moon and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which I think a lot of people forget he's even in that. But anyways, so I don't like it as much now, and I haven't seen it like in probably 15 years, but I remember the last time I watched it, I was like, this doesn't really work that well, except for Cameron Diaz, except for the dog. Some of the directing's okay. I mean, Chuck Russell directs it. He's competent. And it's a nice cast, you know. I can't remember the actor's name, but he was like the 90s bad guy for a minute, and he was pretty good. He was in Usual Suspects and some stuff like that around this time. So yeah, it's okay. But my sins that I wrote that you didn't mention, I love the Richard Jenney plays like his friend at the bank, R.I.P. Richard Jenney. And he says something like when Cameron Diaz comes in, I don't remember the exact line, but it's like hot woman at 3 o'clock or something like that.
Killer at 3 o'clock.
Killer at 3 o'clock. And then the sin is, you are looking directly in front of you. That's noon if I ever saw noon. That was just a great line, I thought. Like, yeah. I like the guy who wears a mask stumbles upon a TV talk show about wearing masks. That's insane because that happens. I feel like there's a couple things I've written on recently where something like that has happened, where it's just like, you know, the actual thing this person is dealing with at that moment is on a goddamn talk show like he's watching.
TVs in movies, man.
Yeah, that's
so
definitely
dumb.
something I've really picked up on as we've been doing this job. I did not want to figure out what all the pig Latins say, and I'm really sad Cardoso and Scott aren't on here because I really want to know what that was.
Oh, it's great, isn't it?
Basically, it just says, why is he speaking in pig Latin? It would just be as easy to say it, you know, the other way.
I also want to say, I read a pig Latin sin a long time ago. Chris said, this is funny, but Jeremy will kill us if we keep it in. And then I find out like 2 years later, he's more than happy to say pig Latin. And it was not even nearly as complicated as what he did in this.
We used to do op language. Did you ever do op? Did you have a secret language that you ever used with friends?
I never really did pig Latin either.
Interesting. We had pig Latin, but we knew everybody knew pig Latin, so we did op language, which is basically just consonants you add op to and say the vowels. So like, you know, sopi nopi mope is cinema, sopi nop sop is sins.
That, I mean, you do kind of develop your own language with your friends. Like there's certain things you can say and they'll know exactly what you mean, you know, that kind of thing. Yeah. But never really developed anything, I don't think, on purpose at least.
Yeah.
And then I just loved, is that a Surf Ninjas poster? Because I loved how, like, I think New Line was really guilty of doing that, where they would just put whatever other movie they had out that summer. They just randomly have a poster in the movie, and it's just like, whatever.
Yep. Ian.
I love this movie. I have been patiently sitting in my chair ready to talk about this film. You're fine. Everyone can have their own opinions. I love this movie so much. But yes, I watched it probably weekly when I was under the age of 10. So I would have...
Sure. Oh, I totally see. Under the age of 10, if I was 18 when this came out. If I was under the age of 10, I might have loved the hell out of this movie.
I missed this in the theaters because I was 4, understandably. But somehow I watched it, got hold of it. And there's something about... when I was younger, there was something about if there was an item in a movie that did something, I wanted that. I was a collector from like the earliest age. So when I graduated from uni,
Oh my
I
God.
did get a lovely Loki mask, and it is my pride and joy. And I love this film so much. And
Is that
watching
always back there, or did you just put that back there today?
that is just there for today,
Oh, okay.
just a
He
little
just dug it out of
homage.
a river this morning, actually. So
I did.
love-
It smells like absolute
One of my
arse.
favorite Carrie lines, which it's in the video, but there's a center around, not the line, but I just love what he's like. I'm just down here looking for my mask.
My mask. It just does it for me. I watched the cartoon as well that came out after this, which is really good. Like these, the Ghostbusters had one. These movie tie-in cartoons are usually like halfway decent. They're pretty good.
They can be. Real Ghostbusters was great.
It's awesome. It's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I love this movie. Jim Carrey's hilarious. Well, I think he is anyway. The physical comedy works for me. Cameron Diaz is great. The scenes with the mask, now that I'm rewatching it, are almost like vignettes. So when he's got the cops that are shooting at him and he gets everybody to dance, it's like, that has got nothing to do with the movie. And we spend 6 minutes doing like a rumba, and I love it. And it's amazing, but it has nothing to do with the film. But yeah, the comparison to the genie really got me, because I was like, oh my goodness, this is trying so hard to be Genie. And it doesn't work as well as Aladdin's Genie. I don't know if that's the impressions are...
Does it work as well as Will Smith's Genie? Is it?
Yeah, but I love Will Smith's Genie.
No, he's
I
great.
Think
No, I liked Aladdin. I like the live action.
I would probably put it Robin Williams' Genie, The Mask, and then Will Smith's Genie in this weird universe. It might be that Robin Williams is so just like off the cuff. And
Well, where does Ben Kingsley's Iron Man 3 come into there, though?
in terms of the sins. You troll. In terms of the sins, high-pitched BTS was great. It was like, oh, BTS? I mean, is on my BTS tickets. It was amazing. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the Stanley trips over the door to get into the garage, but then the ding, ding, ding for the sin ding was him dinging at the table. It's great. Love doing that when we can get the movie to help us out. The Pig Latin was great. The bonus round is adorable, and it's just Jeremy saying, I want a dog. Just the adorableness of going through all of the cute things he does throughout the film is amazing. And the foreshadowing of Jim Carrey's career, like, that's another level. Like, almost every film is accidentally foreshadowed in this, including one that was missed, The Grinch. Like, the greenness of it all. There's so many of his future films in this film, but yeah, love it. I almost, when I saw this was on the schedule, I was so close to emailing saying, can I please do this? I'm glad I didn't. I would have been terrible at this, because there would have been 15 sin removals. I would not have been able to look at it as a critical piece of art. And if I had, I would hate myself for it. So I'm glad I wasn't on it.
There you go. That is The Mask. Speaking of green things, let's move on to Greenland. This is Cardoso Whittington script. So Ian and Daniel writing on this one. Ian, you get to kick us off.
Isn't it, though, like Greenland's got a lot of ice and Iceland's got all the green? Isn't that what...
Essentially, it's that way round. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and you
weird.
walk on parkways and park on walkways or something. I don't know.
There we go.
Why is
No,
abbreviation such a long
You drive
word?
on parkways. You drive on parkways and park on driveways. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's the joke. I'll edit that round so you don't sound like an idiot.
Sure you will. Sure you will.
I will not. Ding. Yeah, this was really interesting. So this is the first video where I was writing kind of without a safety net almost. So it was me and Daniel writing on it, but I was putting together the overall video. So this was probably the most control I've had over what sins went into a video. So that was really, really fun, because I'm a bit of a control freak. So that definitely appealed to the megalomaniac. Megalodon. The Meg inside me. No. So yeah, really, really enjoyed. I remember the first time watching this film, I really liked it, because especially coming off the back of Geostorm, I was like, really? Like, Gerard, whoever your agent is...
That is kind of interesting. Like, would we have liked it as much if he hadn't done Geostorm before it? That's it. I think that's like a fair question to ask.
It's a fair question.
I think so too. Sure.
Yeah, it's a fair question, but I think I would have...
It's terrible.
So bad. I
And
think
not
I would
even
have
like
done...
in a fun way.
I think I would have done, but I think I enjoyed it even more because my expectations were so low. But this is still a film that I liked, and it was the fact that it's not so over the top. It's not so car chases and running away from flying cows and tornadoes and all of the landmarks being taken out and whatnot. It is quite sedate for a disaster film, but yeah, it is baffling that Gerard did 2 of these back to back, and you're like, my dude, were you just in a mood that you just fancied doing disaster films for a couple years? But having seen it, I may not be able to watch it the same way again because there are some inconsistencies in logic. The biggest thing I found was just how big this government conspiracy is, that they knew all along exactly where it was going to hit, put enough provisions in place to save the people they needed to save without anybody finding out. And it's like, if this was always going to land in the sea and was going to be fine, did nobody see like the medical tents and like FEMA getting set up and thousands of military personnel that would have had to be in on it as well? So the conspiracy kind of falls apart a little bit.
Oh, you're just putting that shit on people's TV screens. You don't know if neighbors are over or...
Of course. You've got no idea. It's going to raise some questions. And the second most ridiculous thing is, I know the world does fall apart whenever we have a disaster, but within minutes there is looting, there are children that are lost, there are 17 square miles of pediatric tents where lost kids have been lost over the last 3.5 hours.
I love that you have that much faith in humanity. I wish I did.
No, I have more than 6 hours of faith. I feel like...
It makes sense to me for some reason. Like, that would not surprise me at all. But no, I think it's totally worth setting. But I'm just saying, I'm watching that, man, they've got some faith in humans that I do not have.
No, I get it.
I mean,
but
the toilet paper thing.
But this toilet paper compared to, there would be a lot of shopping, definitely. But we're talking about looting, kidnapping children, murder.
I know what you're saying.
So much goes wrong so quickly. And it's like, it's been 6 hours, damn it. Yeah, in terms of the sins, I loved how close he is to Locke without meaning to be Locke. An adulterous structural engineer from Britain. It is not Locke. I love it. I think my favourite job that the editors did was on the sliding scale of thumbs up to thumbs down, because so he's asked by his neighbour, how's it going with the wife? And he's like, middle thumbs up. And I was like, no, we need a bit more than that. It's fine to describe work and your job and golf or whatever. But I didn't put the note in to cut back to him each time showing the middling thumbs up. But the way they did it just was hilarious. Just keep repeating that until you get to the wife. But yeah, really enjoyed seeing this. Had a lot more than I thought it would.
I'll go next. I do like this movie, and I've seen it 3 times now, I think, just because I've watched it with friends and such. And I just think it's a fun disaster movie. And disaster movies always play, fast and loose with logic and that kind of stuff. And I'm okay with that. I think the reason it works is because it is single-minded in many ways. It is about the oncoming disaster, and the driving force of the movie is we want this family to be together and to be safe. And when you have crystal clear objectives like that, it's very easy to, as an audience member, find your way in. And I think it works. And for all the weird and even bad movies that Butler's done, he also every once in a while, maybe every other movie, is really good.
Yes!
He's really fun to watch on screen. I like his presence. There's
I'm a fan.
I'm a fan too. And I think he's good in this. I did want to say, as a parent of a diabetic, it was really interesting to see a movie kind of nail that. This movie gets everything right about being the parent of a diabetic, including when we send the refrigerating the insulin. While it's true that it might be okay for a month, you are told for sure. Insulin goes in the fridge and get it there quickly, and that so that it keeps. I was really impressed. The pump was accurate. The way it worked was accurate. All that stuff seemed really interesting to me. And I liked that, as somebody who's dealt with that for several years. So so that was good. I liked the not the length of the trail, it's the depth of the impact sin. And I like it not just because it's a double entendre, which is always fun, but because it's true. The statement is true. It's not the length of the tail. It is the depth of the impact. I love the line, there's always time for sandwiches. That made me laugh.
Man, that was so dumb. We're in a hurry. Let's get some PBJs.
Oh, yeah. Sudden guy from The Office whose name I can't remember. Just love the laziness of that. That's amazing. Not as much as my dead wife. The followed by not enough to stay with you after he's talking about how much he loves them is just so good and true and beautiful. I loved all that stuff. Jonathan, what about you?
Yeah, I like this. I've only seen it the one time, and then I watched the Sins video. I read somewhere where people were talking about movies that might have been most affected by the pandemic, and this was one of the ones that was mentioned, because I do feel like if this got like a summer movie release or like a fall movie release in theaters when everyone was going to the theater, this might have been like a decent hit. Like I think, because it's not as dumb as Geostorm. Although you do sometimes wonder if that's what people want, because Armageddon's like one of the highest grossing movies of all time.
It's really dumb.
But I will say it's funny, because I feel like such a hypocrite, because I typically don't enjoy that when it's just over the top and silly. But at the same time, one thing that kept pulling me back from this was I felt they took it almost too seriously at times. So it's like, you can't please me, disaster movies. I'm sorry. But I liked it. I liked Butler in this. So it was nice to kind of see him in a better movie. Although I will say, if you haven't seen Cop Shop yet, please go watch Cop Shop.
Yeah.
Cop Shop is kind of great. And
it kind of is.
I don't know that I can defend that, but it's kind of great.
Yeah.
But anyways, I really enjoyed this video. I loved American Airlines. That's weird. It just popped up.
Just launching luggage. Where did that come from?
Thank you for sending the movie for wasting Holt McCallney. So many movies do this. Nightmare Alley, just like last month, did this shit, and it's just like
so
how
frustrating. He's great.
Oh my god, the theatrical Justice League. He's in like one scene. Like, this guy's awesome. Come on.
He just has the worst agent, I think. Just getting in really bad gigs.
He has to like he had that show on FX, Lights Out, where I really discovered him, and that only lasted a season. It was actually around the same time as was it Terriers? Was that?
Yeah. I will
both
say,
of those.
I think before we start ripping on his agent, we need to know what he's getting paid for these roles. Because he could be cashing some checks for small roles. And if that's the case, he has a great agent.
Yes, that is very fair.
I just want him to be like starring in some of these, because I think
100%.
He would be outstanding. But that was everything else I think you guys have said has already been mentioned. I don't know if you guys mentioned the news position. We talked about just in general, there was a lot of that, but I love the scene where it's like, I'm not even mad about it. I'm impressed, but I'm also mad about it.
Yeah, that's great stuff. All right, let's move into keeping tabs.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share pornography with one another.
Oh, jeez.
This is the most public yet of my many humiliations.
We're just going to take a look at something else from the process of putting together the week's content. Maybe a weird Google search, a deleted sin, whatever tickles our fancy. My fancy will remain untickled this week, as I did not write on anything. So I really don't have anything. I wrote on everything last week.
I got to be honest, I don't really have much of anything either. I just wrote on those 2 TV shows, but there just wasn't anything that was like interesting that I looked into.
Can we go 3 for 3? We can just skip that. We can just skip this segment.
Oh, man,
Ian?
we nearly did, because I don't have one either, but I have an honorary one from Daniel.
I'm sorry,
because I know that he must have done some research into the DHC 6100 Twin Otter, which is the aircraft that they used to get to Greenland. On his behalf, I didn't check in with him, but unless he has a backstory that I've totally missed, which is possible, that he used to be a Twin Otter pilot, that plane would not make it. And it is, I believe that he spent the time to do the fuel consumption on it, the distance it would go, the weight that it would need. And it's just ridiculous. Like, either that argument doesn't happen because you're just going to let them on, or there is nothing they can say that would sway you. If you're going to push that point, they're not getting on the plane. This isn't a goodwill. This isn't a let's hope it works. It's, no, I'm overweight, get lost. But of course, it works.
Of course it does.
With Daniel, though, just what little I've been able to work with him and talk to him, I mean, it wouldn't shock me at all if he just knew that. But
yes, 100%.
But if he's up in his Twin Otter right now,
But I think he's also he's just very good with research. I think that has a lot to do with it too. Like,
I can imagine him like having that off the top of his head, and you're just like, "Oh, when did you get your pilot's license?" And he's like, "What pilot's license?" I just know it.
Or he has one, and I totally would believe that too. Like, that dude's flying planes on the weekends. Sure, that makes sense.
I will say this is something we could talk about in keeping tabs that I absolutely love, that this very thoroughly researched sin is in the same movie as a sin that won't even look up who the guy is from The Office. Like it's one of my favorite things that we both over research and under research stuff, because and if you listen to CinemaSins haters or people who don't like what we do, oftentimes they will say that we contradict ourselves and those kind of things, and that we sometimes we're just trying to be funny and other times we're trying to be serious. And welcome to the channel. Like, because you know why? Because what we're making fun of is the type of person who does that, who is like, I will both research this thing to death and also be totally lazy about this other thing just because I want to rip on it. Like, that is the fandom that we are making fun of, is somebody who's hypocritical.
To jump to IMDb for a second to look up his name, but goes to Wikipedia and does an hour of research on the Twin Otter. It's beautiful. It's perfect.
The hypocrisy is built in. Yes.
Or it could be like he knows the name, but he just thought it was funnier to say it that way. Because sometimes that's what it is too. I mean, we were having it, which I can't talk about what we were sending, but
it was mine. I couldn't remember his name. I couldn't remember it.
Well, Daniel and I were having this conversation last night. Aaron and I kind of had it this morning about correctly naming an item in something we were working on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we ended up going with not, and I guess we'll talk about that in a few weeks if we want to, but a lot of that had to do with, because like I felt like if we did name it correctly, that opened up a lot more like argumentative stuff. But if we just played it off more like we're idiots, it worked so much better.
Like if you'd have done the gun thing more over the top in Paul Blart, it would have been even funnier, wouldn't it? Like getting the wrong name is even better.
Yeah.
It can be,
exactly.
For sure. You just got to find the right mix.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
That was a good keeping tabs segment. I loved it.
Yeah, I think that was great. That was great.
That was one of the better ones.
Let's move into the comment section.
I want to know what you're thinking.
I appreciate your honesty. You're a real straight shooter.
You are the ones who are the ball lickers.
We're each going to take a comment from the week's content from the various places that you reach out to us. Discord, YouTube, Reddit, etc. Ian, what do you got?
Nope, nothing this week. No comment.
You got
some nitpickers of the nitpickers?
No, I'm kidding. Two segments in a row where we don't have anything. Yeah, I got some nitpicking the nitpickers of the nitpickers. What should we do? The biggest one, and this was 10, 12, 13 people must have said this on The Mask. Yes, Loki is a god. And the sin is, what, is this guy a god? And I think that's a green. Like, criticizing the Mask's powers did seem strange to me because, it's a bit of wood that turns you into a green person with infinite power. It's like sinning the genie for being almighty as well. So I kind of get it.
We can maybe broaden into yellow to defend us just a little bit in saying the movie doesn't do a great job of explaining that. Like, the movie doesn't do a great job of explaining what the rules are, to the mask, other than, you have to wear it at night. But it doesn't, like, because if he truly is a god, like, that opens up so many more things and so many more questions about, like, why didn't he just snap his fingers and create certain things, or,
But because it's mischief.
Why would he waste his time?
It's beneath him. Like, he's not interested in controlling the universe and controlling planet Earth. He's just being a bit of a dick.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Joker, because the one thing I've always found interesting about the Joker that I think a lot of the movies get wrong is that, I mean, all he's concerned with is, he's basically
chaos.
Loki. Like, he just wants chaos and craziness and stuff. He doesn't give a crap about, having money or stealing. He just wants to, and I think that's kind of the same thing here.
Yeah. No, I get it, but I think it was a fair
point. I agree. I'm fine with agreeing. I'm fine with agreeing on that. So in Squid Game, I think this is a fair kind of point-ish to make. It's the dubbing problem. So he didn't call. There's a point where he calls her grandma, and that is.
I had that one pulled too. I know what you're talking about.
I think we did sin that this might be a dubbing problem.
We did. That's why I wrote that in, because I wasn't sure, and I was too lazy to go pull off the non-dub.
I don't even know how you would get there. Like, and I think it's like an amber, because what he's saying is correct, but it's still sinful on the show, even the dubbed version, for not getting that right, not putting the research in.
I took that comment as he was just explaining to us, you are correct. On the non-dubbed version, it's this. So that makes more sense than it. I think he was agreeing that it doesn't make any sense on the At least that's the way I read it. But I could be wrong.
Well, let's just sin the show extra then.
Yeah.
And for Hawkeye, we had, so this was about the convenient places of all of the convenient things, and that the defense was, well, I'll read what he says. I'll add this to nitpicking the nitpicker segment of BTS. When Hawkeye finds the quiver and convenient bow after the convenient trampoline, I believe he knew where the quiver and bow were because he mentioned that he saw them take his bow up and put it there, and the convenient trampoline still stands, but give me the bow and arrow back. So I think this person wants half a sin returned.
Yes,
because Hawkeye could have spotted where
Maybe
it wasn't an accident.
We'll give you back 0.31. 0.31 a sin will return to the bank.
But we're going to give it back for trying to point it out to us. If episode 6 doesn't end with a negative sin tally, we will riot. So let's just prepare for a riot next episode. That's all from me.
It's coming. It's coming.
Good, but it's not that good.
Jonathan, what about you?
So I had the one we were talking about earlier about the kidneys in Squid Game. This YouTube comment said, "It actually makes perfect sense that multiple people would not have both kidneys. If I was desperate enough to play, I'd probably have already sold my extra kidney on the black market. The real sin is that any of these people have both kidneys still." And I was like,
I love that so much.
I was like, you might be right, but
it's how they described it as extra. No. Nothing inside you is extra. It's all there.
I hesitate to point it out, Ian, but there's plenty inside me that is extra. I have taken much of my life and eaten many calories to provide extra on my body. So
fair enough. Weird when you describe an internal organ, though. Like,
yes,
that extra lung.
I guess I'm thankful that I've never been at a point in my life where I've had to think about, doing that. So that's that was just kind of.
I almost wish we turned it on its head and had gone with that. Man, it's dumb that anybody has two kidneys in here.
And then we talked about the brother not showing, like we couldn't see the brother's photo. And I didn't know this, so I thought this was just interesting. I think, once again, this was just somebody letting us know, hey, this is why. Because apparently the actor that plays them is well known in Korea, I believe. So seeing the photo and the actor's names in the credits would tell the audience about the twist. So I thought that was interesting. I didn't know that, so that was cool because I don't know the actor. So... I totally get that. We do that with American films all the time. So,
Yep. Mine, I want to end on a positive comment from YouTube. Such things exist, and I wanted to highlight it. This is from Red Sankari, who said, and I don't even remember which video because it doesn't pertain to the video specifically itself. I believe it was one of the CinemaSins videos. "Jeremy, you and the team are seriously talented, funny, and respectful to film in all the best ways. I've been watching for about 10 years now, around when you started, and it's been so great to see you guys grow and still doing what you and we all love. Keep it up."
Nice.
It's very, very sweet. And
yes.
And
we're lucky that everyone thinks that. We're so lucky.
I think a lot of people think that.
I think a lot of people do think that, and it is a reminder that that there are some people in what is often considered a cesspool of comments on YouTube that are still out there saying good things. So thank you, Red Sankari. We appreciate that.
And that was on the Greenland video.
Okay.
So just,
very nice.
I'm going to take all of the credit for that comment. They're really just
Wait, do
talking to
you
me
even
and Daniel.
know it was on the Greenland video?
No, I do. Hand on heart.
all right.
I know that is no citation needed. You don't need to check that out. It was in the Greenland video.
I got to send a quick email to Daniel. Hold on. No.
All right, let's move into Beyond the Sins.
To infinity and beyond.
Somewhere beyond my wildest dream.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
We're each going to chat about something else from the world of pop culture that we have seen recently. And Jonathan's going to kick us off. What have you been watching?
Well, I actually saw this weeks ago, but Worst Person in the World is opening this weekend, today. So it'll be a week since it's open. And I don't know how many theaters. I don't know, but I know it's actually opening. Like, it's going to be available where it wasn't available. I was lucky enough to get to see it. I guess it was at least December. If not, it could have even been November. This is my favorite movie. This is a movie I really don't want to oversell.
You're doing a great job.
I also feel like I've got to be honest. Like, this was my favorite movie because I think this does count as a 2021 movie. I think for awards and stuff, it's going to be it, right? Okay.
Yes.
So this will be eligible for probably Best Foreign Film. I would love for it to get a Best Picture nom. I think it's the best film from 2021 that I've seen.
I'd
think
love for her to get a Best Actress nomination.
Yes, that is. Okay, I'm going to totally butcher this.
Yeah.
It's Renate Rensvi, I'm going to go with.
Yeah.
She is outstanding. I've never seen
incredible.
her in anything else. This was, God, I feel stupid. I should have looked this up. Was this Swedish?
I know it's definitely Scandinavian.
Scandinavian. Thank you. That's what I meant. I knew it was an S. But totally different. But
Sweden. Well, Sweden is in Scandinavia, right? Like it's Norway, Denmark, Finland, and Sweden are technically Scandinavia. So,
I don't know. I don't do geography here. It's a Scandinavian film.
Some guy in Office. It's whoever. What is the guy?
It's a film based in Suffolk.
But this movie, it's small, I guess, in the sense that like it's really just a character piece. It's basically about Renate Rensvi. She plays a character named Julie, I think. Yeah, Julie. And it's basically 4 years of her life. I think she's probably like in her early to mid 20s is what she's supposed to be. And it's basically just about her trying to figure out, like trying to ride the waters of like relationships and try to figure out what she wants to do with her career. And it's interesting that the movie is called Worst Person in the World. I think I get it, but that is something I'm curious how people take that, each person when they watch the movie. And like most movies, I mean, I hope you don't know that much going in, but that's basically the basic premise. And then, but I just loved it because it's just, I don't know, it's like so just, it just feels so honest and it just feels like so real. And like the emotions are like everything is earned. I will say the only thing that I thought was a little contrived was she has a reacquaintance, I'll just say, with an old friend, an old acquaintance towards the end of the movie, and there's like a physical thing involved in that or a sickness or whatever, however you want to put it, involved a health issue that, like, I don't know, that felt a little like on the contrived, but I don't think it really bothered me because both actors were so good and it like they totally make it work. And I just loved this movie. So if you can see it in a theater, you feel comfortable doing that. It might be on VOD pretty soon too, if not already.
I would guess it will be.
Yeah.
But we'll see about that.
But if it's available to you in any way, I highly recommend it.
I can't remember which actor that is, but that scene, he is so good. He's great. He is almost better than her in the second half, and she's amazing. Yes. Like it's some really great performances. High recommend. It also is a little different than you would think of some of these lower budget, kind of more indie feel movies that come out around award season. It has some segments and set pieces in this movie that are really captivating visually. Really interesting choices are being made. There's some real visual art going on in this movie too. At times, along with the incredible emotional and thematic stuff that's happening. So, no, I love this recommendation. Yeah,
it's definitely an emotional roller coaster, but it's one of those where, like I said, I just feel like everything's earned when all is said and done, and that's not. I think a lot of these romantic dramas don't always do that, or they just go way too over the top in certain areas. And this one somehow hits everything perfectly for me. So
I agree. I think it's really, really good. Ian, what do you got?
I am so excited to talk about this film. I, for some reason, decided to watch the Grand Budapest
about the mask.
I decided to watch the Grand Budapest Hotel the other night. I friggin' loved this film.
So good.
So much. This film is a masterpiece. I am going to oversell it, and I don't care if you end up not liking it. It is incredible. I'm just beginning to think Wes Anderson is like my all-time favorite filmmaker. He is just making films for me. I just absolutely loved it. It is the way he constructs some shots and the way he frames people and uses every single centimeter of the screen is just unbelievable. It's incredible. There's always something on screen to watch, and the cast in this film, like, some of them are only in it for like 5 or 6 minutes, but Ralph Fiennes, F. Murray Abraham, Adrian Brody, Jeff Goldblum, Willem Dafoe, Jude Law, Bill Murray, Edward Norton, Tilda Swinton, Owen Wilson. It's ridiculous how many people are in this film. Just And I think acting the best that I've ever seen them. Like Bill Murray's in it for 30 seconds, and I think it's his best role that I've ever seen him play. He's great. Edward Norton is just perfectly German. Like, he doesn't have to have a German accent, but he's just really sedate in this film. It basically follows, if you haven't seen it, the story of the current owner of the Budapest Hotel and how he came to own it under the tutelage of Mr. Gustav, Ralph Fiennes' character. And they just end up on this ridiculous Wallace and Gromit adventure where they accidentally themselves into situation after situation. It's very Fantastic Mr. Fox. Like, I think Gustav could easily be Mr. Fox. It's just fun, and it's like an hour and a half. It's oh man, it's so good. It's so good. I loved it.
Anderson's interesting. I can't, like, there's no one like him.
No.
And there's very few filmmakers you can say that about. I mean, you know, and that's not a bad thing that you're similar to other people. If you're good, or great, or good. But there's just, I mean, I guess you could like find influences that he has, but I don't know. There's just nobody like Wes Anderson. I mean,
really
especially
great.
Especially like post, like, I mean, Bottle Rocket, I guess, kind of feels very in that 90s indie scene. But like, I don't know, Rushmore on, or maybe at least Royal Tenenbaums on. He was able to do, I don't know. His style is just very different. Like, I would love to talk to that man.
I would love to have a chat with him, and I can't wait to see what comes next.
Have you seen The French Dispatch?
I haven't. I tried. It didn't line up, and I couldn't get to the theaters.
Yeah, and
I know I'll love it.
I loved it.
I loved it as well, and I think it's the Wessiest, most Andersoniest.
I called it for Vonnegut fans listening. I called it his Breakfast of Champions. Like I can't imagine. Like, I would love to. Like, it would kind of like Ian watching Scream 4 first. I want to hear somebody that The French Dispatch is their first Wes Anderson film and what they think about
would
it.
They not get it?
Because I have no idea. Like, it wouldn't. I'm just really curious to hear what that perspective is.
I love Grand Budapest. It is a tale of two halves for me with Wes Anderson. I am meh about everything before Fantastic Mr. Fox, and am absolutely in love with everything.
Yeah, he's on a bit of a tear, right?
Fantastic Mr. Fox on. Yeah. He's got his last few movies are Fantastic Mr. Fox, Moonrise Kingdom, which may be my favorite Wes Anderson movie. I think it's so beautiful.
It's grown on me a lot.
Grand Budapest, Isle of Dogs, which is way underrated. I think it's a really good movie. And then The French Dispatch. His last 5 movies have just been all home runs for me.
I would argue that Rushmore and The Royal Tenenbaums are great movies for myself personally. I was not a huge fan of those couple in between, like the one with Bill Murray in the submarine
in Darjeeling,
Darjeeling Limited. Yeah, those were two that I was kind of on the fence with. But I know what you're
right.
saying.
There's no one like him for sure. No one like him. I'm going to talk a little bit about Murderville on Netflix. This just came out this past week as we're recording this. This is Will Arnett doing a murder mystery show with a guest star every week who is not only playing themselves, but is also a trainee who has been given no script, no information on what's going on in the show, and has to react to things as they happen in this murder mystery. The conceit is at the end, they will pick between the 3 suspects who they think committed the murder based on the clues that they have seen as this, police trainee.
I love that concept.
Beautiful concept. It is also, you may be surprised or not surprised to find out, based on a British show that did a very similar thing. Murder in Somethingville or something like that. I should have looked it up, but
oh my goodness, yes, no, it is, because I've been meaning to tell you about that show for months and just never got round to it. Yes, I'm so sorry, Aaron. You would love this.
Do you remember what it's called over there?
It's leave it with me.
Hold on,
I will definitely
you guys
find
talk.
out.
I'll look it up.
All right, no. I'll keep talking about this because I'm kind of mixed in my feelings on it. I will say it's unique, and I love
Murder Island.
Murder Island. It is unique, and just for that alone, I find it very, very interesting. It is cringe at times because these people really don't know what's about to happen. So when Conan O'Brien or I'm trying to think some of the others that have been on the show are reacting to this stuff, they're really genuinely reacting, which can both be fun, but also be like, I feel bad for, like, kind of that cringe thing where it's like, well, it's a little uncomfortable that they're not sure what's going on. So there is that aspect to it. Will Arnett's great. This is perfect for him. He's so over the top. He gets to play in this really interesting space. The 6 episodes do have an overarching kind of plot that is written into them.
Ultron shows up.
Yes.
It's an episode missing that's played out of order.
Correct. So yeah, I'm really enjoying What If Murderville is really, really good. No, I did really enjoy it. But I will say there were moments where I was like, this isn't great, but it isn't great because of the conceit, because of what it's having to do. It can't be perfect. It can't be polished. It has to be improv in many ways, especially for those guests. And yeah, so I enjoyed it enough to recommend it. So it's definitely a recommend, but just go in knowing that it's a little unpolished because of its conceit.
I definitely want to check it out. The last 3 weeks, I mean, this is awesome. There's been 8 or 9 shows that have either debuted or the new season is debuted that I want to watch. And so it's kind of just been chaos with what am I watching today?
Yeah.
So, but Murderville is definitely one of them. So,
Ian, I will just say, because it didn't sound right to me, I did look it up. The show it's based on is actually called Murder in Successville.
I'm thinking of something else then. Murder Island sounds very similar because that's a reality show as well where they have to guess the murderer and there's actors. Well, there's no actual killing, thankfully. But that Murder Island is almost exactly the same premise. That's really strange.
Interesting. Murder in Successville is the British show that it is technically based on that they optioned for the American version. I will also, I guess, say the murder mysteries are a little light to me. They're a little obvious and on the nose. If you're paying any sort of attention, it's clearly obvious who the killer is because of the clues.
Are they more 30 minutes or are they more
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they're more 30 minutes. You'll get through it real fast.
I kind of think it has to be obvious.
It does.
For the person in it. Yeah, yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I say when I say the conceit brings down the overall quality of the product a little bit. But the conceit is fun. So, yeah.
It's really weird, though, I think I've mentioned this before, but murder mysteries are my jam, and I read them all the time. I watch murder mystery shows all the time. I watch movies, that's my jam. And I'm so bad at figuring out, which I think is kind of a bonus and I think that's why I've never gotten tired of them, because it's rarely predictable to me, because I'm just not looking for that, I guess. I don't know. I get fooled a lot. Which is interesting because you would think I'd be like a private detective at this point, but no, that's not how it works.
Or a murderer, because you know how to do it. Yeah.
I will be interested to know. I don't blame anyone for not figuring stuff out. In fact, we talk about this often when we talk about movie turns and twists. Calling a twist is not some sort of point that you get in your bonus thing, and it's also not some sort of thing that's always a flaw of the movie. Now, figuring out a twist that the movie is trying to hide from you for a specific purpose, that may be a flaw in the movie. But just because someone figures something out doesn't mean a movie is necessarily worse because of it. The story is still the story, no matter when you figure out the information. But storytelling can be more fun and interesting based on when you reveal that information and how it's revealed.
But it's all this murder. I mean, and I love it. I think it has a lot to do with Knives Out. I think it has a lot to do with Murder on the Orient Express. I just love that we're getting all these new murder mystery shows, because Murderville, there's the parody thing with Kristen Bell, the girl across the lake in the window. Which I really want to watch that. The After Party on Apple, which I've seen the first episode of, and it's really good. And then plus you have stuff like Servant Season 3, which is also kind of a mystery type thing. So I don't know. I love it. Love it. Keep them coming. Fun. Do them all. Bring Angela Lansbury back. Let's do it.
Make it happen.
Make a requel to Murder, She Wrote.
Ooh. That will probably happen. That is Murderville, which is available on Netflix. The Grand Budapest Hotel is available with ads on IMDb TV, or you can rent it from various places. and Worst Person in the World is in theaters. That's going to wrap it up for Behind the Sins this week. Don't forget to make sure you're subscribed and go ahead and leave a comment or rating as well. Got anything you want to send to us? You can mail it to P.O. Box 881, Republic, Missouri 65738. You can hang out with us on Twitter. I'm at Aaron Dicer. He is at Wits End.
WHITTSINNED.
And he is at Sam Loomis 13. So for Jonathan Watkins, Ian Whittington, a Surf Ninjas poster, and myself, we will see you next week.
Happy National Flannel Day.
Thanks for listening. Send any feedback to bts@cinemasins.com and be sure to subscribe, rate, and comment. Find more ways to connect by visiting cinemasins.com/BTS.
We always end up in the 1 hour 30 to 1 hour 45 range. I suppose that's because we have a good shepherd.
Oh, I didn't know you were religious. It's
Does shepherd have to be religious?
The Good Shepherd is definitely a religious phrase. The Good Shepherd.
That's how unreligious I am. I didn't realize.
I just remembered we have to do a commercial, don't we?
Oh, shoot.
We do.
Yes.
All right,
that's something I am prepared for.
I wasn't.
That's something I studied up on for days.
You already used your Jonathan, do you like numbers line, so you can't do that again. Jonathan, are you a fan of numbers? You look like a kid who's a fan of numbers.
I sound like I'm in the Beatles.
I just know Paul. That's all I know.
Well, you sounded like Ringo.
I'm from Liverpool.
I just know Ringo.
Do you think I'll be allowed to do the advert like this, Aaron?
Yes, Ian. Just talk like you're from Liverpool.
I will. I believe that I'm the best cook in the kitchen, even though I just kind of do what people tell me to do.
It's really interesting hearing a British person do a Liverpool, because it doesn't quite sound like an American doing a Liverpool.
No, I imagine it equally doesn't sound anything like I'm from Liverpool. I don't know where I'm going. That drifted into Northern Ireland. Well, I don't know about you, but I think Jonathan looks like a man that likes numbers. Jonathan, how do you like your fondue?
You look like a man who likes fondue.
Can you guys hear Hannah whining? All of a sudden, okay, good. Because I'm just going to ignore her.
That a girl you keep in a closet? Or
I'm assuming that is a dog.
That would be so. If I was just like, hey, you guys can't hear Denise screaming, can you? I've totally told you who Denise is. It makes perfect sense that I would say that name.
Yeah.
I assume it's a dog, though, right?
You can't hear Hannah whining.
Yes. Yeah. It's a dog. It's a dog, guys. I can't believe you thought beef tenderloin was the chicken fried tenderloin sandwich.
Oh, is that not it?
Yeah.
Is it not it?
It's a completely different thing.
Is it a pork chop sandwich?
Oh no, it's a pork tenderloin.
It's a pork tenderloin
sandwich.
fried. It's a fried pork tenderloin.
I just remember the Indiana nachos. Like, that's the main thing.
Oh, is that not the same thing? Okay, well, there's tenderloin in it.
Oh, no, one is beef, one is pork.
Yeah, but with the protein switching, you can switch that out.
It's what's done with the tenderloin that makes the sandwich interesting. A tenderloin can just be cooked.
Yeah,
but
I
it
have
can also be
tenderloins in the
fried.
freezer, but I have to add stuff to them.
Tenderloin is just a portion of the body. Like Ian, you have tenderloins.
Yeah, like
I do have very tenderloins after that advert.
I was just thinking about the geography of the UK, and no, I'm kidding.
We only have one time zone, so Aaron would love it here.
It'd be so nice, right?
Yeah.
It'd be great.
The
Everything
right
is just on
time.
Pacific time.
Yeah, specifically Pacific.
Not that I'm like super happy with my recent diagnosis, but I will say I'm getting my blood work and like urine work done so often now that like if there ever is something wrong with me, surely it will be found out very quickly.
Well, that's how I felt when I had my cardiac event. I was like, they're doing all sorts of scans on me. I'm like, sweet, if there's anything, they're gonna find it.
But then you get like false negatives as well. Like you can.
Well, that's true. Or you hear stories about where they don't catch that one thing. I mean, my stepfather, he had back problems and he was going to different doctors for like a year and then all of a sudden one of them finds cancer. It's like, how was that not discovered? Like,
Right.
So that thing you guys both felt good about, I just thought I'd bring you back down to earth.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Ringo. Ringo, I told you to stay downstairs. Oh, well, I got bored. I thought I'd come and join you, lads.
That is very Ringo. Hello?
Nobody
Paul.
was talking to me. Well, to be honest, Ringo, we forgot you were here. You wasn't really adding much.
He added a drum beat every now and then.
Ringo takes a lot of crap, but Ringo is part of the Beatles. Like, you can't argue that.
Well,
like,
thank you, Aaron. I've always said the same. Ian, you're a dick.
In fact, you could argue Ringo is a better and more important part of the Beatles than George.
Well, I'm not having that.
Because George was a lot of the issue because he wanted to be more involved. Like Ringo was happy with his place in the Beatles. George wasn't. You know what I mean? Like
he's probably happy with his bank account now too. He's probably like looking at that and being like, I don't give a shit what you think. I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't try to be contrarian, but with the Bond songs, I tend to be more in favor. Well, I think the Duran Duran one's pretty popular, but I really like License to Kill. Mm-hmm. I'm not a huge Live and Let Die fan.
Oh, I think
that song
Live and Let Die.
I think that song structure is so weird.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
But it doesn't work for me. Like there's something about it where I get taken. It's almost like I get taken out of the song.
Why does it matter to you? When you got a job to do, you got to do it well.
That is not one of my favorite.
It's so random. Songs. It's so good.
Gotta do it.
Bum 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 bum.
Spy Who Loved Me. Spy Who Loved Me is currently my favorite Bond film.
Yeah, I like it. Did you carry on, Aaron, with all of your Bond run through, or did you pause?
Yeah, I've seen every Bond movie now. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I think the Spy Who Loved Me. Did you like Spy Who Loved Me, Aaron?
Boy.
You can't remember which one that is.
The Spy Who Loved Me is my third favorite Bond movie.
So I guess you liked it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Really
was
did
Casino
like
Royale your favorite?
My favorite Bond movie is Skyfall.
Well, I knew it was one of those two.
Followed by Goldfinger, followed by The Spy Who Loved Me.
That's a good solid number 2 choice. Goldfinger's weirdly gone. I mean, it hasn't I still love it, but that used to be my favorite, and it's gone down to probably 4 or 5.
It just hasn't aged. It's just got a big old. Oh wait, you said Goldfinger, not Goldeneye. Sorry.
I don't know if I did this on purpose or it just happened this way, but I feel like my top 3 are kind of representative of the 3 defining movies for me of those Bonds, like Daniel Craig and Skyfall, Connery and Goldfinger, and Roger Moore and The Spy Who Loved Me. It feels like those are like quintessential. I had this idea of what a Bond movie was before I went through this process of watching them all, kind of almost back to back in many ways. And when I watched Goldfinger, I was like, that's it. That is
it totally
what a Bond movie is.
Yeah.
Just since I'm thinking about it, my highest Timothy Dalton is License to Kill at number 7.
That's right. I mean, that's I don't know. People think Living Daylights is better. I don't get that, but whatever.
And then I actually have Living Daylights at number 8. I have both of his movies in the top 10.
I like Living Daylights. License to Kill is just, I don't know. I feel differently about that one than most people.
And then my highest Brosnan is GoldenEye at number 10.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah.
GoldenEye's right. What's your highest Lazenby? That's one that a lot of people, huge Bond fans, love that movie. I do not like that movie. And I think a lot of it has to do with Lazenby. But the thing is, if you watch that there's a great documentary on him. Have you seen that, Aaron?
No.
He did not want to really do it. He turned down a 6-film contract.
Which one was Lazenby?
On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Oh, okay.
And then they brought Connery back for one more
I have
after
that.
So that's why it's a little confusing.
21.
But I mean, there's all this stuff. It's kind of interesting where it actually has there's actually stakes at the end because his wife gets killed and all that kind of stuff. But then they just they wipe it off quickly, and Diamonds Are Forever. They just forget about it.
He is not, however, the lowest ranking Bond I have. That would be David Niven in Casino Royale.
If you count Casino Royale, yeah. I mean, Casino Royale, Never Say Never Again, are not Eon Productions.
Correct.
But yeah, I would if I were to do a Bond podcast, quote unquote, in the next year or so, I would include both of those because I just think it's kind of you kind of talk about all the theatrical stuff that was done.
Casino Royale is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It's so
bad. That's the
bad.
one I've never seen. If I saw it when a kid, I don't remember. It's possible I saw it as a kid and
it
just
is a straight parody that is not funny. Yeah. And that is a death combination. If you can't make parody funny, it just becomes
Don't multiple people
Terrible.
play Bond in it though, or is it just David Niven? Because I thought
No, I think-
isn't Woody
I think
Allen
you're right.
in it and like Peter Sellers? And
Yes, Peter Sellers.
Peter Sellers is definitely in it. Yeah.
Orson Welles.
Welles
is
yeah.
in it. Yeah.
I thought Woody Allen was in it too, but I could be wrong. I don't think I've seen it. I even think
Woody Allen's in it as well.
Okay.
Yes.
I think I own it though because on DVD because I bought like a Peter Sellers DVD pack because it had Pink Panther and like the party on it, and then I think the third movie was like Casino Royale. But I've still just never had any interest in watching it.
Hello and welcome to Behind the Sins. Thank you guys for joining us live for this recording. Soon to be not the only podcast recording live for our Sin Club members. Coming up this next week, you guys can hang out with Chris and Jeremy as they record Rec-A-Topia. I guess I can let people know that will likely be Tuesday morning. So if you want to kind of get your calendar, take an early lunch or whatever you need to do. By the way, that's Central Time, not Pacific. 11 a.m. So is when the goal is. We're excited. We're excited to have more podcasts available for you guys to watch. I'm going to a dermatologist screening today. I think what's going to happen today, I could be wrong about this.
Is that a new movie?
They called it no. They called it a tip-to-toe screening. I think basically I'm going to go get naked in a doctor's office and they're going to look at every inch of my skin.
Oh,
I think that's what's going on today.
Yeah,
so.
usually though they give you like some like paper pants or something.
I mean,
some paper pants.
You're assuming tip is referring to something very specific.
I'm not kidding about the paper, by the way. Paper shorts are a thing. I used to work in an orthotics and prosthetics company, and I did ordering for them.
Well,
and,
I'll report back.
That was something I had to order because when you're working on somebody's prosthetic leg, maybe you don't want like penis right in your face.
Maybe. I would love to tell you all while I'm frustrated, but we haven't got time because Aaron doesn't want us to have any fun this week.
You can say why you're frustrated.
No, it would take too long. It'll take too long.
Really?
No.
No, now I'm curious.
No,
I'm not
my
starting the show.
Right, so I was supposed to have my booster today, a contact lens check, a vision check, and all of that was going to get done this morning until the Royal Mail said your package that was meant to be with you at 9 will be with you at 1 p.m. So I wait until 1 p.m. That's great. Until they ring me and say, actually, it's going to be here Monday. Fine. I've lost the morning. No worries. I go out. I get to Specsavers, power cut. And I'm like, well, couldn't you have... No, you couldn't have phoned me because there was a power cut. So I come home.
Is that like a power outage?
Yes,
power outage.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I get home, I have some food, I'm like, right, going to get my booster. I go out to the booster appointment that I've booked, they've run out of the vaccine. So I was like, try the next place over. I was like, yep, I'll go and do that. Drive to the next place over, they've run out as well. So I go home. I am now blind with no vaccination, and I still don't have the package that I wanted.
Well, listen... All bodies are beautiful. The package you have, I'm sure, is perfectly fine.
Tip to toe, it works beautifully.
Tip to toe. If you've got anything you want to send it to us, you can mail it to P.O. Box 881, Republic, Missouri 65738. Got anything you want to send to us? You can mail it to P.O. Box 881, Republic, Missouri 65738. You're going to edit that together, right?
Edit what together?
That the ending thing, right? You're not gonna leave all the mess ups.
I'll leave the mess up in.
Ian, do you enjoy your job?
Yes, thoroughly, and this is why.
You're fine. No one cares.
Good.
Dotson, we got Dotson here.
See,
no one cares.